So if you have a bit of experience with matched betting, I'm sure you've come across the problem of getting restricted and banned by bookmakers. And if you haven't because you're new to matched betting, then I'm sure you're going to come across this. But here are some tips and techniques I found through my experience of matched betting to help you reduce the likelihood of you getting restricted or banned by bookmakers. So why do restrictions, or gubbings as we call them in the matched betting world, actually happen? Matched betting itself is completely legal and also tax-free. But having said that, matched betting is against bookmaker terms of service, so they don't like us doing it. If there's any activity on your account that flags that you're a matched bettor, then the bookmakers are likely to restrict or close your account or gub you. Now this can be really annoying if you're trying to make money as a matched bettor. There are loads of ways you can help reduce the likelihood of them banning you. Number 1, avoid arbs or arbitrage betting and dutching with other bookmakers. Dutching basically means betting on two different bookmakers, where in normal matched betting, the way that I teach is you'd bet one side on a bookmaker and one side laying it on an exchange, so you cover both outcomes. But you can, in theory, with some things where it's just one thing or the other. For example, one player either gets a shot on target or he doesn't. You can bet on two bookmakers using that, and this is very risky and it will decrease your account health by a lot if you do it. This is because bookmakers aren't stupid. They know if you're betting on a random player to have under 0.5 shots on target, that's not a very typical punter's bet. So they know likely there's some kind of arbitrage betting going on here, and bookmakers don't like us making money, so they will restrict you for that. Now, arbitrage betting can give you really quick profits, quite good profits as well, but the longevity is just terrible. You'll do it for literally maybe even like a day and you'll just get banned straight away. I know that because I've done it and I was stupid with certain accounts, and yeah, I learned that the hard way. So don't do that. I would say just to completely avoid arbitrage betting. There's loads of better ways you can make money more consistently with things like boosts that bookmakers have boosted on purpose. So that means a normal punter would be more likely to just put that on. A lot of the things arbitrage groups are telling you to put on are some random Portuguese 3rd division game, some random bet on there over 14.5 corners or whatever. And if you're putting anything like that on in general, then that's just the fastest way to get restricted and gubbed. So avoid those. Now that's dutching with other bookmakers, but you can do arbs with an exchange. And arbs in this sense is where you're putting on your backside on the bookmaker, you're putting things on that the bookmaker hasn't boosted on purpose. So for example, you just go on the game and you find Saka to have 3 or more shots on target. It hasn't been boosted, it's just what it is, the odds are what it is, and they're profitable because the back odds on the bookmaker are higher than the lay odds, so you can make money. Again, I would try and stay clear of these, a pretty irregular betting pattern, especially if you're putting weird stakes on. The same goes with the dutching with other bookmakers. You end up putting really weird stakes on to match everything up, and if they see you putting £100 on some really niche market, they're going to flag that pretty quickly and restrict you and so on. There is a time and a place to use arbs with a bookmaker in exchange. For example, if your account health is already compromised and you're stake restricted on a lot of boosts and you appreciate your account is coming to the end of its working life, then if you just want to sort of send it and sacrifice it and end on a bit of a profit high, then you can do arbs for sure, but you've got to realize it's going to come with heavy restrictions. So there is potentially a time and a place for arbs, but where possible, stay clear. Another thing I'd also try and avoid is extra places offers or EPs. Although they can be good profit makers, from my experience they are not very good for account health, especially if you're doing them a lot in one space. I actually got restricted on my Bet365 account by doing EPs during Cheltenham. So yeah, I'll just try and stay clear of those if possible. This is obviously after you've done the sign-up offers though, so if you're still on the sign-up offers, then don't really worry about what I'm saying. Number 2, I've already kind of mentioned this, but make sure you use round stakes. Where possible, always make sure you use round stakes, for example, £10 or £20, as opposed to random numbers like, I don't know, £17.65 or something like that, as it will make you appear more like a normal punter, which is what we're trying to do here really. We want the bookmakers to not realise we're a matched bettor, we want them to just think we're a normal punter. Bookmakers don't like us making money, guys, if that comes as a shock to you. So for example, on a lot of the uni sites, for example Unibet, on their boosts, the max is quite often some random arbitrary number like £17.66 or something. And I always tell our members, never stake the full amount, that looks kind of dodgy. If possible, try and just stake £10, or if you have to, maybe £15, but ideally £10 is more of a whole number. It looks more usual, if you will. So yeah, always try and use round stakes. Number 3, minimize large withdrawals. Now this can be slightly down to luck, whether or not you win on the bookmaker side as opposed to the exchange side. And I would always say with your first few bets, it is probably better if you lose on the bookmaker side and you win on the exchange side. Obviously you're not losing any money, just the money's going into the exchange as opposed to the bookmaker. As again, bookmakers don't like us making money, so if it appears we've lost our first few bets, they'll be more likely to offer us better incentives and just not restrict us and keep our account fully active. But if we do win a lot on a bookmaker side, for example, if odds were high and say we won £200 on the bookmaker side and we lost £180 on the exchange side, so we've made £20 in profit, but we now have £200 in our bookmaker account. And we need to ideally get that out so we can use it on our exchange side. From my experience, the worst thing you can do is withdraw that £200 all at once in one go. And this sort of links into the next tip as well. But I would definitely recommend breaking it up into smaller amounts when you can and withdrawing it, say, in £40 chunks or something like that. And this leads into our fourth tip, which is withdrawal timings. So when you are withdrawing things, which is inevitable in match betting, you're going to have to withdraw things from bookmakers at some points. The best case scenario would be to just sort of leave it in the bookmaker and just recoup it on the exchange side if that wins. So you put something else on and then you make £40 back on the exchange and you've lost £40 on the bookmaker. So that would be good, because on paper through the bookmaker you're not actually making money or withdrawing it, which obviously they don't like us making money, if that makes sense. So ideally we'd make it back on the exchange. But there does come scenarios where we do need to withdraw from bookmakers because it's just not happening, or if your bankroll is really small, you might need to withdraw the money from the bookmaker so you can actually have enough liability in your exchange. And this is where withdrawal timings come in. There's no, say, concrete evidence of this, but I heard someone say this and tell it to me, and I've been doing it ever since. Always try and do your withdrawals on like a busy betting day. For example, a busy betting day would be the Saturday of a Premier League Super Saturday or whatever. So there's lots of football games on or like a big sporting event. Therefore, a lot of people are placing bets and withdrawing on that day. So potentially, if you are withdrawing money on that day, they're less likely to really do a deep dive into your account because they've got so many things on. Again, there's no solid proof on that, but what I would say is don't be withdrawing, especially large amounts, which goes back to the previous tip, on a random day. For example, like a random Tuesday where there's nothing on, this like the international break, and you're withdrawing £200, that's going to look a bit odd. And the whole idea is we're trying to stop the bookmakers looking too in detail at our account, because likelihood is if you're a match bettor, you're going to be putting on a lot of boosts and things like that. And there are ways to try and make your account look better on paper, which we'll come to. But yeah, both minimize the withdrawal size if possible, ideally as lower amount, like £10, £20 at a time, and also try and do it on a busy day. Tip number 5 is dummy bets. So as I was explaining previously, there are ways to make your account look better on paper, more like a regular punter, which is what the image we're trying to aim for is. And we can do that through things called dummy bets. There are loads of different ways you can go about this, but the main thing is you're putting bets on things that haven't been purposely boosted by a bookmaker, but are still not just like random things. So you're still not putting on like under 13.5 corners for this team, not like random amounts on that. You're putting, say, £10 on Arsenal to win on a big game, or £10 on a player to score that's not, and these odds aren't boosted, they're just normal odds. And this makes us look more like a punter. You could also do this with things like bet builders, and I would always say try and lay it if possible. So if you were doing like £10 stakes on Arsenal to win, just lay against Arsenal to win. Maybe there'd be a slight qualifying loss of 20p or something, but especially if you're gonna potentially withdraw in the future, it's good to do things like that, just so if they do have a quick look at your account, they can see that, yeah, he's put this on, it's not boosted, so maybe he's not a match better sort of thing. You could also do this with things like bet builders, and again, if you're gonna stake like £10 on them, then try and lay them. But you could do just like a £1 bet builder, or with I don't know, a load of things which would literally be impossible to lay, like, I don't know, Salah to score, Salah to get fouled, Salah to get a card, Liverpool to win, this, that, this, and if there's, it just looks, it makes you appear more like a regular punter if you're putting stupid bet builders on like that, because only punters would really do that, match bettors wouldn't do that. But again, if you are going to do that and you can't lay it, then obviously keep your stakes small, because you don't want to be losing much money. So yeah, these dummy bets can be useful in maintaining your account health. Now we've got through the main tips, it's important to note that some bookmakers just have a much higher chance of gubbing you and restricting you than other bookmakers. For example, if you sign up for things like Virgin Bet, LiveScore Bet, Grosvenor, then they're very likely to restrict you compared to other sites. But hopefully with these tips you'll be able to use these accounts with their full capabilities for longer at least. But yeah, if you're getting restricted on things like Virgin Bet, there's been cases where I've literally signed up and just placed one boost and then instantly got restricted. So it does happen. It's sort of an inevitable part of this. The more you do it, the greater the likelihood is that you will experience it. The focus should probably be to keep the most profitable ones healthy. They're going to help you make money over a longer time frame. They're just better for things like boosts. And these bigger bookmakers, if you don't know, are things like Bet365, William Hill, Paddy Power, Sky Bet. They're sort of like your main four that you want to keep in good health. So maybe, yeah, with those ones, if you have won a lot on the bookmaker side, maybe just try and wait and get that money back on the exchange when you lose bets on the bookmaker side. And just be careful, because they are good tools to make money in the long run. Of course, it does come down a bit to luck, so you could be, I guess you could be kind of unlucky, although you're not losing any more money. You're still, regardless if the bookmaker bet wins or loses, you're still making or losing the same amount of money either way. But say for example, in your first 3 bets on William Hill, all the bookmaker side wins, and now you've got £300 on your William Hill. It's probably not ideal, but it does just come down to luck. So don't worry, just do the best that you can, and it will probably be fine if you try and stick to most of these tips. Also, you don't really have to worry about applying any of these tips with exchanges, because exchanges are sort of for matched bettors. So feel free to withdraw as much as you want from there whenever you want, and also you can stake weird amounts, it's fine. Just stake whatever you want, whatever you need to do to make up the other side. So don't worry about that on there. The only thing with the exchanges I would be wary of is Betfair Exchange. The Betfair sort of group owns a few bookmakers, so like Paddy Power, Poker Stars, and obviously Betfair Sportsbook. So you need to be careful when you place something back on Paddy Power. Try not to lay it on Betfair Exchange. Use a different exchange like Smarkets, which is part of a different company, so there'd be no sort of trace there that they could tell that you're a matched bettor. But other than that, with exchanges, they won't restrict you or do anything like that, because they like matched bettors. That's sort of the way that they make their money, so it's all good. We're friendly over there. So hopefully this video has helped you understand some of the ways you can reduce the risk of you getting gubbed or restricted or banned by bookmakers. I think if you're just sticking to boosts and you're doing these tips, your account is so much more likely to survive. If you're putting loads of money on some really high odds ARBs or some really high odds EPs, extra places offers, then it's going to really drastically impair your account health. So I'll just stay clear of things like that. If you need any more tips, then make sure to get in the Discord, send me some messages. The Discord's free, we post some free tips, and we've also got a guide of how to make your first £100 in profit through the sign-up offers. And yeah, thank you for watching, I guess. I'm uploading every week, so I'll see you in the next video.